Welcome back, everyone, to the Tuesday edition of Sports Call. Brett Pritchard alongside Andy Graham here, 888-9-TIGER-9, 334-887-3401 locally is the number for you to call in the next segment. But at this time, we want to go to the phone lines and welcome in our guest on the Sports Call hotline, Austin Penny with Auburn Undercover. Austin, thanks for being on the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Austin, a busy time for you guys, obviously, because signing day is tomorrow, or it has been a busy time the last few weeks. But really, that's kind of a weird statement to say because it's busy all year long now with recruiting. But the big day is tomorrow. Everybody gets excited about where their particular team is going to finish, and that's what Andy and I have been talking about with the Auburn Tigers. And where you guys have them at number 7, I think I've seen some things say that if Auburn closes with a sweep of these guys that they're holding or they're hoping to get, they could possibly jump all the way up into the number 1 spot. What do you think about that, Austin?
Well, they certainly have the possibilities. You know, the big 3 with 5-star Rashaan Evans, and then you have 4-star Andrew Williams, and then, you know, the 4-star Braden Smith. There's always a possibility, but right now I think Auburn's main concern is just fighting off Alabama for Rashaan Evans. You know, you just said number 7 and 24/7 Sports and where we have him, but, you know, you can't just look at what Auburn's going to do. You also have to look at these other teams. Alabama's going to sign a few more people. The same thing goes for LSU. So there's way more factors than just seeing what Auburn does, but I certainly think they have a chance to at least get the top 3 if they sign these big 3.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Andy.
Well, Austin, you, in this day and age of social media, and you know, you're all recruiting services, you have to do all these interviews. You pay attention to everything that the recruit does, and I'm just curious, how do you guys go about, you know, when you're kind of making your predictions for the crystal ball? How do you read the tea leaves? I mean, what do you pay attention to with these recruits and what they say and what they do?
Well, the biggest thing is that you respect the recruits. You know, they have a life too. And I know a lot of people don't really realize that, but they're more than football. So when you're talking to these guys, you have to treat them, you know, just like normal guys. And a lot of the time, you know, you'll ask them a question about how they feel about this school or that school, and they'll tell you. I mean, you know, they'll be completely honest with you. I mean, depending on the relationship that you've built with these guys as a reporter, because, you know, sometimes kids will be open with you and sometimes they won't. These last couple of days are the hardest times to read the prospects because, you know, they've got so much pressure. You know, are you going to commit to this school or that school? You know, there's a lot on it. The biggest thing for me is really just getting the most logical information from them. Do you like this school? Do you think that you can fit into this school at this position? You know, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's a hard task trying to read what an 18-year-old wants to do on the last day before signing day.
Well, Austin, we've got Austin Penny on with Auburn Undercover, and Austin, let's talk about Rashaan Evans since you said it, and it has been the most watched recruiting battle over the last week or week and a half with it coming down basically to Auburn and Alabama. And just tell us what you guys have heard here lately in the last few hours. I know different things change on a dime, but it's kind of hushed down since Saturday with the birthday party and all, with Rashaan's granddaddy and all, but which was a wild situation in itself. But have you heard anything new?
Well, if you would have asked me a month ago, I would have said that it's a strong Auburn lean. Now, after you've had, you know, the in-homes and the circus at the grandfather's party, you know, you have all that. Now it's more of a toss-up. I've talked to a couple of sources that both Alabama and Auburn, they believe that it's a battle between them. And, you know, UCLA's still there, kind of hanging on, but for the most part, it's Alabama and Auburn. And each day, it's kind of become a 50-50 toss-up type of thing. So, you know, and that's recruiting. You're going to get, the longer you can hold a recruit from making a decision and you have that time, you know, you never know. And with Rashaan, I think that's really what's happened now is he's realizing, you know, both of these places, he can come in and he can play. He's going to be an immediate impact player at either Auburn or Alabama. He's just trying to cipher through, what can I do here? What's the difference here? And that's how the decision's going to be made. And the deadline's tomorrow for him anyway, having his announcement at 10 o'clock at Auburn High. So, it's right now, I believe it's a toss-up, and I'm going to stick to my crystal ball prediction of saying that Rashaan's going to Auburn. So that's what I feel right now anyway.
Well, Austin, you look down the list of the teams in the SEC, and, I see South Carolina with 17 commits. I see Georgia with 19 commits, LSU with 19 commits. Who do you think is going to make the most noise tomorrow? Who will do the most moving up and down the list?
The biggest teams right now are up there. LSU has a chance to land Malachi Dupree, which I think is going to happen. You also have Alabama, who has pretty much made a lock for number one unless something crazy happens. And also you have, let's see, who else do you have up there? Florida State. Florida State is, Treon Harris, who visited Auburn. He's an Auburn. Auburn's really high on him as an athlete, even giving him the chance to play quarterback. He has the chance to commit to Florida State. And then Florida State also has a chance to get Erman Lane, four-star wide receiver. So making the most move, I think that Florida State will move up. In the SEC, it's really hard because, it's going to probably be an Alabama-LSU battle right now for who gets that 1-2 spot. And for Auburn, this is the thing with Auburn. If they sign the Big Three, which we've already discussed, if they sign the Big Three, they have a really good chance of getting into that top four spot at 24/7. So, it's just recruiting. It's just it's so hard to gauge.
It definitely is, Austin. And, one more thing, you look down at some of these other teams toward the bottom of the SEC. You got Arkansas, Mississippi State, Missouri, and Vanderbilt. And you got two Western Division teams in Arkansas and Mississippi State down there in the 30s. And you look at the rest of the Western Division, Alabama 1, Texas A&M 3, LSU 4, Auburn 7, Ole Miss 13. And, it just, if you're Mississippi State and Arkansas right now, how do you ever catch up with these teams at the top when you're recruiting in the 30s and they're in the top 10?
It's hard. You're not going to be able to sign every four-star that you're recruiting. So instead of doing that, what you have to do is you have to go find the guys that want to be at your school and that can contribute in their own way. They're not looking for the 5 stars and the 4 stars, especially right now. Brett Bielema, his big thing at Arkansas is just trying to get the players that he can get that can come in and work in his offense or his defense. So, at those schools at Mississippi State and Arkansas, they're going to have a hard time right now because they're not in the upper echelon in the SEC West. But if they continue to recruit and get the guys that they absolutely need and they can use immediately, then they can turn those diamonds or those roughs into the diamond. And that's pretty much what you have to do when you're in the lower ranks in the SEC.
Well, Austin, we'll all be watching and listening openly tomorrow to see where a lot of these guys that are uncommitted decide to end up. Real quick, any surprises for Auburn tomorrow? Anybody that's not on this board that is being talked about that may end up at Auburn?
Well, the surprises probably wouldn't be much of a surprise to anyone. The name that's floated out there this entire recruiting cycle has been Ronnie Clark from Alabama. Now, he's a safety, he's 4-star safety. He's been committed to Alabama for a while. 2 years ago, he actually had named Auburn his leader when Gus Malzahn was at Auburn. Now, do I think that he's going to flip from Alabama to Auburn? I don't think so. I think that he's going to stay at Alabama. But if I had a surprise that I could put out there, I would probably say him. But again, I think that he's pretty strong in Alabama.
Interesting stuff, Austin. Well, we really appreciate you taking time out to be on the show, and look forward to talking to you again soon, okay?
Anytime, guys.